Alright everybody, hello and welcome as always. I am Sean, this is In The Mix. Something different this week. We're back with our one season wonder series. We've had a wonderful save with Manchester United. We had a fantastic unbeaten season in League One with PSG. And now we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to go to an international side. So it's not even really one season when you think about it. What I'm effectively terming as a season is one full World Cup life cycle. So that's a challenge that I'm setting myself. I want to go through, I want to do a European Championship. I want to work towards a World Cup. I want to try and win England its first European title. I want to try and win England its first World Cup in nearly 60 years by the time the World Cup's actually played. And I want to try and develop a side that goes from being just a squad of various players at different clubs to like a group that's played together for, 5 or 6 years at an international level, properly develop an actual team of 23, and hopefully finish up the week taking them to glory. It doesn't always work out that way, but that's the bar that we're setting for this season. We've got a tremendous amount to go through. Of course, we'll try and get a game in this episode as well. So might as well jump straight in and have a look at the side. Best place to start, I think, in international football is just the profile of the nation itself. Of course, England, one of the biggest superpowers in world football, not necessarily from an international football perspective, but definitely from the strength of the Premier League and the teams within that. 3 lines, 50.76 million population, a good few rival nations here, but the big ones we want to focus on are, of course, Wembley as the home stadium, 90,000 stadium capacity, one of the most notable stadiums in world football anywhere around the world. We're going to play there quite a bit, which is fantastic to see. As far as clubs, of course, the big 6 at the moment in England are not just big 6 in England itself, but in world football: Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea, Man United, Tottenham and Arsenal, always in and amongst the best clubs in world football at any one particular time. And at the same rate, we've got pretty much some of the top players as well: Harry Kane, Raheem Sterling, Marcus Rashford, Alexander-Arnold, Jordan Henderson and Dele Alli. They're big for England, but they're very big in the international game as well. I think at the start of the game, La Liga is actually the biggest competition. But you're splitting hairs really with the Premier League, one of the biggest competitions in world football. Continues to grow, continue to develop. It does have a tremendous amount of international stars, but some very, very good English talent in there as well. Currently 5th in the world rankings. We have gone as high as 4th since I took over in June of last year. But really the only thing that's happened are European Football Championship qualifiers and a couple of South American competitions. So I think at the moment Belgium are top, France are 2nd, Brazil are 3rd, and I cannot remember who's 4th at the minute. It might be Spain. But we'll focus on that a little bit more in depth before we go into the Euros, before we go into the World Cup and look at the different ratings. Now, we have played quite a bit. If we refer to the board, which I guess in this case is the FA, the only thing that I was asked to do when I took the job was qualify for the European Championships, which we have of course done. We are undefeated in that period, 7 wins and 1 draw in that time, to get ourselves through top of the group and get ourselves a good seeding position for the draw. That draw actually takes place about a month from now in the game universe. I will try and bring you that in this episode as well, so that we can see who we might be playing tomorrow. I'll go through full schedule at the end of the episode so you guys know what to expect this week. And as I said, I'll try and bring you that big marquee friendly against the French. They are the World Cup champions. We're using them as kind of like a bar to see where are we actually up to day one and where do we want to try and get to at the end of 2026 once we get through that World Cup cycle. Now, the big one, the one that everyone always cares about, the one that I always spend way too much time on, is the squad itself. Now, thinking ahead, thinking to a 5-year, 6-year World Cup cycle, I kind of set myself a little rule that I wasn't going to pick anyone over the age of 25 as the game starts. So you'll see that everyone here is under the age of 26. Jordan Pickford and Harry Kane, the 2 oldest in the squad at the moment. But most of the players that you guys see here are kind of wonder kids that are potentially hoping to develop into better players. And as far as the starting lineup goes, a lot of players that are around 21, 22, 23 years of age that we're going to try and continue to develop over time. And we'll hopefully make the most of the potential ability that you guys can see across here. What I'm going to do is bring up squad depth chart to show you guys not just the 23 that we've got here, but the guys that we've got that are kind of like third choices at the moment. So as you guys can see here, we've got these guys in blue that I think are currently the starting lineup that we would want to try and build towards playing with for the next 5 or 6 seasons. Behind them, the guys in red are some of the guys that you would expect to maybe hit that level in the next few years, but aren't necessarily there now. The likes of Mason Greenwood, Phil Foden, proper wonder kids that are potentially looking to play to that level, not necessarily there right now. And then the third choices are some of the stars that we currently have in under 21 football that again have very similar high levels of potential ability that may not necessarily get to that level. I don't want to use any regen talent. I don't want to use any new gen talent, whichever one you prefer referring to it as. I want to try and win it with a group that's actually in the vanilla version of the game. Because of that though, a lot of these players are kind of maybes as to who actually will make the final squad. I think the first choice 11 will likely be involved throughout, but I don't think everyone that has high potential ability is necessarily going to hit that level or make the most of that potential as they continue to play, continue to grow, continue to develop. So there are a few players that have missed out entirely, like Kyle Walker is a big one as a right wing back. Jordan Henderson, another massive one. Like, those are players that are kind of over that age barrier that we've set ourselves, because we want to work towards 5 or 6 years from now, not just thinking about right here, right now, would a 29-year-old player add anything for the Qatar World Cup in a few years? They'll be 31, 32 by the time we get to that stage. Or are we better off working with a 23-year-old that will be at their peak of their footballing ability by the time that World Cup rolls around? That's kind of the mentality that I've taken with this, and why I've kind of put it together in like a 3-tiered system. And of course, a million different things can change. There's a whole bunch of players here who aren't necessarily included in the discussions. I'm sure you guys will let me know in the comment section below anyone that I've missed that I should potentially be including in that. But effectively, there's quite a few different players there that may move around in their positions, that may start ahead of certain other players based on form, fitness, whatever else. And potential is a weird thing. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, depending on the player's career trajectory and all that sort of stuff. So anything could happen. This is just where we're starting day one. Might as well introduce you guys to this starting 11. Of course, Jordan Pickford in goal, 3.5-star current ability, 3.5-star potential. He's 26 years of age, one of the older ones in the group, but 32 is like kind of a good age for a goalkeeper going into a World Cup tournament. My concern with him is that Everton may not necessarily play like European football, may not necessarily make Champions League games. Thankfully, we do have Dean Henderson. We do have Aaron Ramsdale from Bournemouth that have higher potential than him that might potentially get to that level. But of course, he starts for the moment. He can do the sweeper keeper on support role, which is what I'm looking for at the moment. Very good ratings for everything that we need him to do in that position. I think he's going to be excellent for us. At right back, Trent Alexander-Arnold, of course, one of the best players at his position at world football, despite only being 21 years of age. 4-star current ability, already star for the side. 5-star potential ability, I think the highest potential of anyone in the England structure at the moment. Wonderful attributes, 17 crossing, 18 passing, 17 technique. Physically fantastic as well. Definitely a player that we're looking to build around for the next few seasons, and one of the first names on the team sheet. Over on the other side, we've gone with Ben Chilwell. It's a little bit tougher at left back. I like that he can play as a wing back. I like that he's kind of playing quite a bit for Leicester at the moment in the Premier League. And hopefully they'll either make Europe themselves, or he might move to a side that is in European competition. Continue working towards hitting that 4-star potential ability, which is where we really want to see him by the time the World Cup rolls around. Back up left back's a little bit difficult. I've got Brandon Williams from Man United and Ryan Sessegnon from Tottenham, but they are both players that are around 2-star current ability, working their way towards full potential. Hopefully they get to that level, but that may be potentially like a tricky part that we try and work on if Ben Chilwell isn't available. John Stones, of course, centre of defence. He's one of the best ball-playing defenders in the game. 4-star current and potential ability, playing to the peak of his powers. 25 years of age. He's going to be 31 by the time the 2026 World Cup rolls around, which is fantastic for us, kind of the peak time for a defensive player. If he can continue playing at high level, continue playing in the Champions League, I think we're going to be in a great position with him. I'm going to play him alongside Joe Gomez. I did flirt briefly with the idea of Harry Maguire playing, but I think Gomez has a higher ceiling and is playing still quite a bit in both the Champions League and Premier League for Liverpool as well. Can play as a ball-playing defender, which I always like as a balance. Excellent technical attributes. He looks to be one for the future, and one that we're definitely going to try and build a solid defensive partnership with. The next one, the number 6, like our most defensive midfielder, I want to use like a deep line playmaker on defend. When I went and had a look at the market as to who would be best suited, of course, Jordan Henderson was in there, but I don't think we really want to take him to the World Cup at 35 years of age. Lewis Cook, interesting, was a player that has over 13 for all of the traits, both key and secondary, for that particular role, for that particular structure. He's got good tackling, good technique, good passing. I really just want that kind of number 6 to just recycle possession, give it to more creative players, and I think he's going to be fantastic at that. Just very, very solid. If he can hit that 3.5-star potential ability, if he can maybe leave Bournemouth and go to a side that's playing in Champions League, I think it's going to be fantastic for him. But we're going to give him an opportunity, continue to work towards that. And hopefully that one won't come back to bite me in the ass, but I think he's been excellent so far. I think he's going to do quite well for us. Backups for him, Hamza Chowdhury for Leicester, obviously a relatively high potential player at 22. And I've also gone with Joe Willock from Arsenal to potentially come in if they hit their straps and make the most of their potential. Alongside him, James Maddison, a player that would probably prefer to play as a number 10. I'm playing him a little bit deeper as Mazzala on support. And if we look at the key highlights and traits for that, the technique, everything's over 15. He just looks to be well and truly set up to do quite well. 16 passing, 16 technique, 16 dribbling, still only 23 years of age, playing it week in, week out at Leicester at the moment. Probably another one I would like to see play in the Champions League, either with Leicester or with a higher division club, or a club higher in the division, I should say. But looks to be a wonderful prospect, definitely one that I'm going to try and build towards. And if he's going to be around 27, 28 years of age by the time we get to that World Cup, we're going to be very, very happy to have him out there. On the right wing, I've gone with Raheem Sterling. The wings are a little bit of a tough position because you've, of course, got Jadon Sancho, Marcus Rashford. But Raheem's good. He's already at an elite level. He's still only 25 years of age, which is mind-boggling to me. It feels like he's been around forever. Physically, just an absolute beast. We're playing on the right as a winger on attack. He can do pretty much everything that you need him to do for that role. 20 off the ball is fantastic. 16 flares, tremendous. Wonderful dribbling ability, good technique. Crossing maybe needs a little bit of work, but we're not like banging balls into the box or anything crazy like that. So he gets the nod on the right-hand side, but I reserve the right to change my mind at a later date. Over on the left wing, Jadon Sancho, of course, one of the best wonder kids in the game at the start of anyone's save. He's relatively cheap, relatively affordable. If you're playing in the Premier League, try and get him across because he is absolutely magnificent. Despite only being 19 years of age, he's got 18 dribbling already, 18 technique. Wonderful physical attributes as well, a proper wonder kid, and at 19 he's probably going to be a wonder kid for the next 2 seasons as well. Definitely one that I think will hit that 5-star ability, and playing both regular Champions League and regular football in the Bundesliga with Borussia Dortmund. At the 10, a little bit more difficult this one. I thought about playing James Maddison there, but I've gone with Dele Alli, and so far he has been excellent. He can play as an advanced playmaker on support, which is what I really want. Playing Champions League football every week, playing Premier League football every week, still only 23 years of age. Continuing to grow with Tottenham, continuing to score at a decent clip for a midfield player as well. I'm going to give him an opportunity. We're going to see how he goes. There are the likes of Angel Gomez as well, Mason Mount, a few other players that could potentially play at the 10, but for the time being, we're going to give him the opportunity to try and continue adding to a growing list of England caps and good performances. Leading the line, of course, Harry Kane, one of the first names on the team sheet. Elite striker, can play a couple of different roles up front. I'm using him as a pressing forward because I just think it's a very good player role. And when you look at the key roles, key attributes, he's very, very good. Double figures for all of them, which is always fantastic to see. Wonderful stamina, wonderful finishing, wonderful first touch. His off-the-ball movement is superb, as is his teamwork and work rate. Currently wearing the captain's armband. He will be 32, leading us into the 2026 World Cup. If he's still at an elite level, if he's still playing regular football in the Champions League, regular football in the Premier Division with Tottenham or with another side, he'll continue to lead the line. There are players that are kind of coming through that may potentially get to that level, the likes of Marcus Rashford, the likes of Mason Greenwood. But as far as sure things go, Harry Kane is a fantastic player to have there and ready to go in your lineup, and I think adds to a very, very strong spine, the likes of John Stones, James Maddison, Dele Alli, Harry Kane. That's not even bringing in the likes of Jadon Sancho, Alexander-Arnold. It's a fantastic squad, a wonderful team, and I really, 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 really hope I can get the most out of them over the next week or so. Right, looking around the world football stage, I was wrong. It was Portugal that's currently in 4th position, but we are sitting 5th. We're not miles away from anything. 94 points ahead are France in top position. If we have a good performance at the Euros, I think we could potentially jump up towards one of the top teams in the division. What's very interesting, I think, is that Brazil is the only side from South America currently in the top 5. A couple of smokies in there, Croatia, Denmark, Uruguay. Of course, much smaller nations that are performing very, very well to be in the top 10. As far as European Championship qualifying went, of course, it was fantastic for us. I already touched on those results. But there were a couple of teams that potentially would have thought might make it through that haven't necessarily. Serbia didn't make it out of their group. Portugal and Ukraine going through. Ireland didn't make it in a group I would have thought they'd do okay in, with Denmark and Switzerland going through instead. Norway and Austria are out, both nations that have very high production rates on like wonderful players coming through. It'll be interesting to see in 5 years' time if they are still struggling to get out of groups. Iceland hasn't made it. Their run of getting to international tournaments, it kind of comes to an end. Scotland didn't make it through. Bosnia also struggled to qualify to their group. But there's some big teams in there, of course. Italy, Belgium, France. Poland are a bit of a smoky. Spain's in there as well. Wales and Croatia, 2 very, very good sides. Germany, Holland, Portugal, of course. There's some huge giants of world football in the European Championships. As far as the player roles are concerned, like the key player stats, we didn't really have anyone that kind of blew everything away, but I guess that's to be expected. It's saying that French players are also showing up there, which is an interesting one. They're one of the other sides that got through undefeated, as did Belgium, as did Italy. So I think quite a few of the giant teams have had a fairly easy run in the qualification stage. Wales have gotten through undefeated with 4 wins and 4 draws. Portugal, 8 straight wins to qualify top of their group. That's very impressive. And Ronaldo looks like he's been amongst it for both goals and player of the match awards and all that sort of stuff you'd expect from the big man. Now, as far as our tactics concerned, I've gone with a 4-2-3-1. I think it just suits international football really well. It's our football's coming home structure. We're playing like kind of a vertical tiki-taka where we're waiting for them to play the ball in very deep areas before we trigger the press. But it is quite aggressive. I think I've done mostly like aggressive pressing formations regardless of like the underlying mentality behind that. We're using the English jam. Across our positive, our cautious, and our attacking mentalities, they're just the defaults that I seem to fall into every year, and they're continually working well at the moment. You can see different player roles here. We've got a covering ball-playing defender in John Stones. We've got a ball-playing defender on defend duty in Joe Gomez. The wing-backs just playing in their preferred roles. Ben Chilwell as the wing-back on defend. Giving a little bit more cover to Jadon Sancho. Alexander-Arnold will play as a complete wing-back on support. Trying to join in where possible to help out Sterling on that right-hand side. We've got a couple of injuries, of course, you'll note here in the lineup. Jordan Pickford will miss the game against France. Raheem Sterling will also miss the game against France, but they're only 4-week injuries. They're not anything long-term, anything that's going to keep them out of the European Championships itself. And overall, as far as the depth of the squad, as far as the role abilities for the starting roles, I think we're in a fantastic spot. I think Lewis Cook will get to 3-star ability in his current role. I think James Maddison's going to get used to it. Raheem Sterling is obviously already elite, and Harry Kane already 4.5-star, despite it not being his preferred role or position. I guess the only thing left to do is to go and see how this actually goes against some high-level opposition. So we're going to jump forward and look at the two lineups against France now. Just like that, we're a few days ahead now. There's been a couple of changes, of course. Raheem Sterling had a knock. Jordan Pickford had a knock. So Dean Henderson comes in to play in goal. I've also moved Sancho over to the right-hand side to bring Marcus Rashford in on the left. Bukayo Saka was out. We brought in Reece Nelson as a backup. He'll play off the bench. But I thought it was probably better to get Rashford and Sancho out there, given the quality of the opposition, rather than throw like a young player in there that's still working their way into senior football, working their way into international football. There are quite a few players in this squad, though, that are expected to play 45 minutes, so you might see quite a few changes come through as the game continues and we figure it all out. They've got a very strong lineup. I'm not sure why none of their players are showing up in the Facepacks. I think it's because it's international football and not club football. But if anyone does know how to fix that up, put it in the comment section below. We'll try and fix it for future videos. Very, very strong looking lineup, though. They're playing a 4-3-3. This front three of Lamar, Griezmann and Mbappe are, of course, all world-class. Mbappe, one of the best players in the game. Pogba, Kante, Tolisso as a midfield three is very, very strong. That was, I think, the position I was most interested to see what they do. I thought they'd line up into like a 4-2-3, one similar structure to us with maybe Griezmann at the 10 and someone else leading the line, but it is still very strong. Titi Varane as the central defensive partnership, Hernandez at left back, Pavard at right back. It's very much that defensive group that won them the World Cup. Hugo Lloris drops to the bench, which is an interesting one. They've started Areola, but regardless of their playing, I think they're going to be very, very strong. Of those guys that can only play 45 minutes, John Stones, Dele Alli, Harry Kane, we will respect that. I'll just play them for 45 and we'll give some of the backup players a chance in the second half. Assertively, I'm going to say, go out there and enjoy the match, and I'm going to assertively tell each of the different player groups that I've got faith in them. We've been in good form, but of course, anything can happen when you reload the game. Anything can happen once you hit that record button, because we know Sports Interactive loves kind of throwing dodgy shit in there. But really, if we can just get a good performance, I'm not worried about the result. It's a meaningless friendly, but a good performance would be great. They've got the highlight there, Varane with the strike in the end, but Henderson does quite well. Maybe potential nerves for Dean Henderson. First real England start that he's had under my tenure at least. But if he can take the opportunity, it'll be good to have a dependable backup option available to us throughout the course of the game. Through 25 minutes, we haven't been fantastic. They've got another deep free kick here. So we hit the half an hour mark. They've managed to clip the bar there, and then we scramble it away back to Lamar. He's going to try and go around him. So he goes back to Varane. Now Kante. Is this the end of the highlight, or are we going to see a further highlight here? Back to Pavard. Oh, Harry Kane was in the area, but we don't make the most of it. 35 minutes played, we're going to use our Get Creative shout. They've immediately got a highlight, which is always a concern. Again, it's a set piece, and Pogba this time finds the finish. Lamar's delivery has been pretty good from all set pieces so far, and he wraps the left peg around this corner. And Pogba arrives. There's three defenders right there. We should be doing better. And Rashford, to be fair, shouldn't be the defender closest to it. John Stones should be coming flying through and clearing that one out. We have got a highlight of our own here. First one we've seen for the game thus far. Stones sends it out left towards Rashford, playing in the same role that Sancho would. Crosses it back stick towards Sancho, who gets his head on it, but Areola with a good save. Back post. And maybe in the second half, we might look at amending some of the player roles just to get everyone a little bit more comfortable in the second half of the game. The highlights continued here, though. Chilwell exchanges passes with Maddison. Now Stones into Dele. And now Cook. Sent out wide right, but it's a poor ball. Hernandez wins it back. And TD with the ball up the line. Alexander-Arnold should recover. Played inside to Gomez. It is good to see that like the defensive structure is working. We are all quite comfortable playing short passes, getting them to commit to the ball. It's a little bit more of that vertical tiki-taka than I've used previously. And Rashford, what a strike that is. Absolutely tremendous from the Manchester United man. Getting a rare opportunity to start a game. He hasn't played many starting appearances in the qualification period. He's kind of stuck halfway between being like an inverted left winger and a backup striker. It's a wonderful strike though. Good ball across from Sancho, and Rashford did not have a tremendous amount to aim at, going behind Pavard to the top corner. Areola could do nothing about it, and we get ourselves an equaliser. Statistically, we haven't been bad. We just haven't seen that many highlights. 9 shots, or we'll go through it at halftime. We're into 2 additional minutes now. we're through that. So 11 shots, 8 on target, 54% possession. They've had 5 shots, 3 on target, 46% of the ball. But I think the 3 shots they've had on target, we've seen in each of the highlights. I'm going to assertively say I'm pleased with how things are going. Keep it up. We're going to make those subs. So Stones is going to come off. We might give Tamori an opportunity to play. Dele Alli's going to come off. We'll give Phil Foden a chance, and Harry Kane will come off. We'll give Tammy Abraham a chance. Mason Green would be in there, but he's got a knock at the minute, so we'll give opportunity to the Chelsea man up top. Tactically, what are we going to alter here? Tamori a bit more comfortable as a defend player, so we'll make that adjustment, but otherwise good balance. Sancho isn't super comfortable, but he's doing fine. Dean Henderson's not super comfortable, but he's doing fine. So we'll give it another 15 minutes, and then we might make some additional subs. We do have another friendly. I won't show you guys that one in this episode, but we are playing Italy in a couple of days. So I will rotate. I don't want to destroy everybody. Throw in here, Chilwell to take. It's a poor effort. Pavard heads away, but Maddison does well to recover possession. Cook tries to send one in behind for Sancho, but they've recovered the ball. Martial's come on up top for, I think, Griezmann. And Lamar on a fantastic run there, and he probably should have done better from the finish, but that was very, very good overlapping football from the Atletico Madrid man. He's been good in this game. He's going to wrap his foot around a corner here as well. Cook with the header away. Pogba at the top of the box, plays it back into Lamar again. We just need to stand him up, boys. Don't panic. And I thought we nearly won the ball back there for a second, but Pavard's given it away. Ball in behind here for Tammy Abraham, if he can get there. He's 1v3 defenders. He might want to hold the ball up. Instead, it's cleared away. Martial with the ball in the right channel. Tamori, good press, sends him backwards, and let's pause there and make the rest of our subs. Chilwell's got a yellow card, we'll take him off, give Sessegnon some time, and we'll set him up as a wing-back on defend, that's fine. Same for Alexander-Arnold on the far side, we'll give Max Aarons a little bit of time as well as a wing-back on defend. And Sancho's been good, but struggling a little bit for fitness, so we'll bring on Reece Nelson as a winger on attack, we'll bring on Dwight McNeil on the other side as well. Oh no, I can't make any more subs. I thought I could make as many subs as I wanted in a friendly, but that's fine, that's the last one that we can make. So it looks like Cook, Maddison, Gomez, Henderson, and Rashford will all get 90 minutes, which might potentially mean they don't start the next game against Italy. Passionately, we're going to say I have faith in you guys. They've all responded positively. Let's hit that play button and also use Old Faithful, our Get Creative shout after an hour. Consistently works. They've got a highlight here. It's a good header away from Tamori. Rashford flicks it on, but to no one in particular. Pogba, back to Pavard. All the way back to Laporte, who's come off the bench. Hernandez on the overlapping run. Gets the ball in towards Martial, and he's found the finish front post. It was a good assist from Hernandez. Maybe a bit of lax marking from Tamori there following Martial. He could have been a little bit tighter to him, but to be fair, it's a good worked ball out there to the fullback. Once our fullback commits, he leaves that space in behind, and Tamori maybe could have been a bit tighter to him, but Martial, very good finisher, finds the near post strike. Into the last 10 minutes now, we're going to use our demand more shout. I just want to see a little bit of character. If we can find an equalising goal, I'd take that as being a pretty tremendous victory, but we do know France are very, very good, and the depth that they're bringing off the bench, Lacazette, Loris comes in goal, Kurt Zouma, Laporte, like they're world-class players of their own. We've gotten through the match. In the end, 19 shots, 11 on target, 54% possession for us despite going down 2-1. They had 14 shots, 8 on target, 46% of the ball. Disappointing to lose, but like I'm not shattered. This is kind of our benchmark to see where are we at, and we know France are a good side. If we're not getting belted by them, I think we're in a good position. Calmly, I'm going to say, luckily this was only a friendly and everyone seems motivated and fired up, which is great. England made to room his chances. I guess that's a fair result. Pogba gets the man of the match award for his early goal. And just generally good play, dictating play from the midfield area. The under-20s have done well. The under-19s have done quite well. A few players in there we might keep an eye on. Luke Matheson might be a decent player. Karamoko Dembele might be a decent player. Aaron Ramsey, not that one, the other one, Aston Villa. All playing quite well. It's not the result we wanted, but not the worst result in the world in the end. We are going to skip past the game against Italy. I'm going to let my assistant take care of that one. It's really just to get form and fitness up to date. But what we are going to do is we're going to jump forward probably about a month and have a look at the draw for the European Championships, because that is what we were going to go through in our next episode. Magic editing though, we'll jump forward to the draw now. Alright, just like that, we are about a month ahead. Because I'm an idiot, I accidentally went too far and it was done off screen. But we're drawn Croatia, Scotland and Ukraine in Group D, which is not the worst draw in the world. We're going to play against a rival team in Scotland. We should beat Ukraine, and Croatia will be the main challenge to finishing top of the group. If we flick through the other groups, there's some really, really good ones like Greece, Italy, Sweden and Wales. I'd expect Italy and potentially Wales to get through that one comfortably. Belgium, Czech Republic, Denmark and Russia. That one's pretty open to me as far as second spot's concerned. I think Belgium will potentially finish top of the group, but Denmark did quite well in qualifying. Russia and Czech Republic, obviously very big sides as well. Holland and Portugal should get through Group C with North Macedonia and Switzerland. Spain and Poland you'd expect to get through at the expense of Ireland, and Slovenia and France and Germany should definitely get through. Turkey, a bit of a rough draw for them, and Bulgaria also in that group. So some massive sides. I think it's going to put a very interesting knockout bracket together. What we will do though is we'll bring you those games in the next episode. And that's probably a good way to bring up the schedule, which you guys can see. Where is it? Just up there at the moment. So of course today we've gone through our squad intro, our targets, played that friendly with France as like our measuring stick against the current world champions. Next episode we're going to come back and do the Euros. It might be 5 games, it might be an hour long. I don't really know how it's going to go. We're going to do our group games, we're going to do our knockout games in that one. It could be an absolute monster episode, the biggest one I've uploaded to the channel, but I at least want to try and bring you guys that journey as we continue to work our way through it. For those of you that do care, we did beat Italy 1-0, a Joe Gomez goal from a corner, but otherwise we were very good. We created quite a few opportunities, just didn't finish our chances as well as we'd like. And we will have a bunch of different friendlies in the windows before we actually get to the European Championships. I've just realised you guys can't see that because the schedule's still up on screen there. Of course, we'll bring you guys the 2020 Euros. We'll bring you guys the World Cup for 2022. Thursday, we'll go through the Euro 2024 schedule and then the World Cup 2026 to finish off the week and hopefully end our journey lifting that World Cup trophy. It's good that we'll get 2 cracks at it, but I think there's a tremendous amount of growth to happen in that particular time frame. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. That is the part that I appreciate the most. If you want to go that extra mile for the channel, you can drop a like on this video to please the YouTube algorithm. Get us higher in search results when people look for Football Manager content. You can also subscribe to the channel if you want to be kept up to date on future videos in all our future releases. But more than anything, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. I've been Sean and I'll see you all again in the mixer.